Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Monday Musings-Danny and Friends SportsWrap. It's always brought to you by Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. 8 locations all around Kansas City. See Dr. Whittle and his fine team. And here are a couple of the spots here to find out exactly what benefits you can accrue, just like my wife and I do. ASFCA. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs do it again. They stave off 2 drives late. The other team doesn't kick field goals. They make mistakes. The ref makes mistakes. The Chiefs made a lot of mistakes, but what do they do in the end? They win. They even admit that they're not playing that well. Patrick Mahomes admits he isn't playing that well, but they're 3-0. There's only 5 teams in the NFL who are, and they are one of them. Stan Weber is going to break that down with us, and can't wait to get his insights on this. The Chiefs are almost stealing money right now. They could almost be 0-3. But anyway, they're 3-0. College football, it was almost a clean sweep, and it wasn't a good one. Missouri survived due to a late missed field goal. In overtime, Kansas spit up a late lead, and it was Kansas State. Well, they looked good for a few minutes, but once their offense stalled and things went badly around the halftime, and they got punked. And Chris Kleiman was not happy about it, and Stan's got info on that as well. Sporting Kansas City was officially eliminated from playoff competition in MLS, but the U.S. Open Cup comes up Wednesday, their last chance to salvage something from the season. It'll be tough at LAFC. And the Kansas City Current back to winning. They win 3-0 against one of the better teams in the league. Rory McIlroy lets another one get away in the biggest tournament on the DP World Tour. And, well, for me, the Premier League's feature game was Man City and Arsenal, one of the feature games of the year, and there was controversy, and there was a late goal. And in the end, Man City scores way into stoppage time to tie it up against 10-man Arsenal. We'll talk about all those things and a little bit more. But we started off with Stan Weber. American football comes your way next on Monday Musings, Danny and Friends Sports Wrap. It's presented by ASFCA.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
It's always a pleasure to catch up with Dr. Brad Whittle from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. There are 8 locations all around Kansas City, including the newest one in Raytown.
In Raytown, we just joined Raytown July 1st. We took over for a retiring doctor, Dr. David Frey, and we are just honored to see all of his patients and take care of the Raytown community.
And communities all around Kansas City with the best of care in a wide variety of fashions.
We do chiropractic using multiple techniques, acupuncture, disc decompression therapy, cold laser therapy, different physiotherapies, exercises, whatever you need for your bones, muscles, joints, and nerve pain, we can help.
Find that help at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, 8 locations all around Kansas City. Visit ASFCA.com.
Hey Kansas City, Joe Spiker, Easton Roofing here. It's football season in Kansas City, and all of us at Easton Roofing cannot wait to watch Patty Icicles take us to our 3rd straight Super Bowl championship. There's been a lot of storm damage this year. We're here before the storm, and we will be here well after, leaving a legacy of quality work handled by quality people. Not everybody got a new roof from their insurance company. If that's you, give us a call. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business to Kansas City's #1 variety podcast, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you. Welcome back, and for yet another week, I need some wisdom, and I get it every week as far as football is concerned from Stan Weber. We do it on Saturday, we do it on this podcast, and I guess I need it, and you know who needs it, Stan? All the people in the National Football League, fans who are sick of the Chiefs, probably need therapy, because they're all watching the Chiefs play. They probably all want the Chiefs to lose, most of them, who aren't Kansas Cityans or Chiefs fans, and they watch the Chiefs looking very vulnerable, and they watch the other team have a very good chance to win, and they watch the Chiefs win. And again, this might have been the most flawed of the 3 games because this is probably the worst opponent of the 3, and yet the Chiefs stave off a couple of late drives. Patrick Mahomes doesn't look very good and admits it, but they've got the DNA. The other teams don't do the right things at the end, and the Chiefs just keep on stacking up, crazy wins, and sooner or later the Chiefs are going to play some really good games. So this is like house money.
Yes, there are not very many teams left at 3-0 in the National Football League.
Nope.
And on Sunday, the world got turned upside down on some teams that we thought, hey, they could be pretty good, and they didn't look so good. So you can't take this for granted. We know it's hard to win, and so let's continue to say congratulations. But you're right. What happens if the Chiefs actually score some red zone touchdowns, Danny? If they make 3rd and 1 look easy, they make 3rd and 5 look easy. But when you get 3rd and 1, you're wondering, are we going to get first down or not? And they kick too many field goals. That's been a story of the early season. Still winning the games, playing a tough schedule. But boy, if they scored touchdowns in a red zone early, you can see the Chiefs just stomping on the grave of the opponent. It's almost like there's a conspiracy. I call it like a hologram game. Is that television really showing us real life, or is that AI? I mean, how can the ratings be any better for Chiefs games? Because the more you watch the game, and if you're a hater of the Chiefs, it's right down to the wire, and you think they're going to lose. Let's go. And all the way to the end, it looks like anything can happen. And what's the end result every time? Chiefs find a way to win. And you look around and, well, what was last week's big theme nationally? The officials, Danny.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes gets all these calls. Well, how about the internet about exploding when there's a pass interference in the end zone by the Chiefs against the Falcons, and yet they don't call it? But a little bit later, the Chiefs don't interfere, and they do give them a pass interference. So, it does all at the end of the day kind of even out at some point. But they're looking for anything right now. How do these Chiefs do it? But one of the things that's interesting about this, and I think you kind of hinted at it, it seems almost as if the opponent makes a mistake or does something so stupid that they guarantee they're going to lose. That 4th down call by the Falcons.
Right.
The odds, it's not Xavier Worthy who got the handoff around on a reverse, okay? I mean, that play had little chance of making it, and they get stuffed. The 2 times down in the red zone scoring area, the Falcons don't pull it off, and I thought the Falcons played a solid game.
Mm-hmm.
Bijan Robinson, you would think, would be a great running back, but the Chiefs just stuffed him. And I thought with his physical limitations right now, Kirk Cousins did fine, but he couldn't make a play. It was almost as if Atlanta failed down there as much as the Chiefs were good. But the story of the day was stuffing the run. We spoke about this last week. Would Atlanta give the ball to Bijan Robinson and stick with it a little bit? They did, Danny. They invested in it more than any team in the NFL probably would, and the Chiefs just said, not today, no way. Great defense, different players stepping up, the physicality they're playing with. But Steve Spagnuolo put on a show, and he put on a show. It didn't seem like there were 14 defenders out there for the Chiefs. They were all over the line. It wasn't just Chris Jones. They were there making tackles all game long. But still, right down to the end, to find a way to win, they get it done. It's in dramatic fashion, pretty crazy, but another W. And that's really the story for the Chiefs, finding ways to win.
Well, there's a few things to unpack here. We've gotten to a place in football where I haven't heard one analyst, one person on the broadcast, anybody say the words, hey, if they just kicked it both times, they would have won the game. The first one was 4th and 5. I mean, but they didn't have enough faith in their defense, which would end up going out there and tossing a, 3 and out at the Chiefs. So they would have won the game if they just kicked once and then drove down there and kicked again. But I didn't hear a peep about that. And that's something that I think 10 years ago everybody went up in arms about. But because people just go for it on 4th down all the time, we don't hear that narrative anymore.
It's awesome, Danny. It's an awesome statement right there. And saying it about the Chiefs game is legitimate. You take advantage. Every point matters. When Bucker has been so good kicking field goals and 50-yarders and pressure kicks, bangs one off the upright, that point mattered, right? That wouldn't have been true if they wouldn't have missed the PAT. But because of that, you could go win the game with 2 field goals. Well said. The statement, I'm going to step back away from the Chiefs game for a second, but you said it well. With the NFL, they've lost their minds. And there's no better example than the Philadelphia Eagles, who somehow got lucky that 3 New Orleans defenders ran into each other when a tight end was on a crossing route and went down the field. And the Eagles won the ball game, but Nick Sirianni, Danny, down 3-0 with 4th and 5s out by the 30-yard line, 25-yard line, refuse to kick field goals to tie the game. What the heck? Late third quarter, You're down 3-0. How do you not kick field goals? These guys have turned their brains to mush. I don't think they understand math, Danny. They act like the score is going to be 48-47. What is the big theme in the NFL this year different than in the past
Scoring is
years?
down.
Exactly. So the field goal and every point matters actually is back into play, Danny. So this is crazy, and I am about fall over when every announcer says, "Oh, I love that they're going for 4th down here." Oh, I love they're going for 4th down here. Just over and over and over again, and you just go, "What the heck are they thinking?" So you're exactly right. No one adds that math up because you're going to go, "Danny, the Chiefs score 35 points every game. Yeah. It's a touchdown every time." They're not watching this year's version
or last year's version.
Or especially last year's version, whose offense was probably worse than this year's version. So, yeah, very well said. These guys have lost their mind. They're not valuing field goals. They think 4th downs are always going to be made, and it's just crazy. So, well said there. But the Chiefs find a way. I'm going to tell you something that I've said one other time to Kevin Kiesman, Danny, and I've not said it to your audience. And this is something where Kevin asked me, what was your impression of the first week of the NFL season? This is today, week 1, right after the games were played on Sunday. He said, well, what was your impression of the NFL? And Danny, I said to him, I don't know where it just kind of eased into my mind, but my take on watching the NFL in game 1, and now I believe is true, is that for some reason the NFL officials have started letting the guys in the secondary play. They're letting them be physical. They were throwing flags for pass interference. If you breathed on anybody the last 5 years, if you touched anybody, it was a 5-yard automatic first down penalty. Once in a while, you'll get a pass interference. You're shaking your head. But the physicality they are allowing in a National Football League on passes downfield and not calling defensive penalties has changed in my mind. That is a bigger factor than what's everyone pointing to. The quarterbacks stink. Okay? That's been the story. Oh, the young quarterbacks aren't any good. Danny, that is not the story. The story is the receivers are getting pounded on and played much tougher. And I don't know if the NFL is going to allow it because I think the stats are starting to get skewed a little bit. The scoring's down where people are starting to quote about it, the quarterback play. The numbers aren't as good in fantasy football. And the NFL loves offense, right? It's worked since what? The merger in 1970. Every rule change is to get a little more offense. I think they may revert back. I've not read one place that the NFL emphasized this to the officials, Danny.
Right.
So I have no evidence that this is true, but tell me what you think. I think that is a big story. It's one of the reasons why the interference call in the end zone wasn't called against the Chiefs, against the Falcons. I mean, they are letting these guys play and more than likely aren't throwing the flag. I happen to like it. I like the version of football we're playing right now, Danny.
I like
better,
it too.
Where you value each point. But see, what are your thoughts after I say that?
Well, I think you're right, but I think allowing a little physicality on the pass routes is fine. But pass interference is pass interference, and that denied the ability to catch the ball on that play. So that one. But I agree with you. I like more physical play in the secondary. Let me toss out this stat at you, and then I'll talk about another bit of good fortune for the Chiefs, who've got a lot of it, and then we'll conclude with some good fortune with the Chiefs too. How about this statistic? I put this out on Twitter last night. Harrison Butker now in his career has missed 19 extra points. Okay, 19 of them. In his entire career, he has missed only 5 field goals inside 40 yards. Now, there's a lot of extra points there, but 4 times more extra points missed than short field goals for Harrison Butker. That's just weird.
Totally weird. Because I thought, Danny, I shouldn't think this way because your questions are always unique. But your brain starts spinning, and I thought you were going to ask me, how can a guy blast through 50-yard field goals like they're 2-foot putts and then misses a PAT, okay? And that was a much easier question to answer than the one you just brought up because you're using apples to apples, okay? Right. I was going to tell you, Danny, in your